Long before the floodwaters rose, before Noah's weathered hands shaped the first timber of his ark, a rebellion was brewing, not among men, but in the hallowed chambers of heaven itself. Divine beings, called the sons of God, were about to shatter the sacred boundary between celestial and terrestrial realms, setting in motion events so catastrophic that the Creator would be forced to cleanse his beloved world with the waters of judgment. And perhaps most chilling of all, Scripture warns in hushed, reverent tones that this ancient rebellion is destined to rise again in the final days of human history. The Genesis account speaks of a time when the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. These mysterious words have echoed through the corridors of time for millennia, yet their full, terrifying meaning remains veiled to many who read them, hidden beneath layers of theological debate and historical distance. Who were these sons of God? What cosmic taboo did they violate? Were they merely righteous men from the line of Seth, as some theologians nervously suggest? Or were they something far more ancient, far more supernatural, entities whose very nature defies our mortal understanding? The Hebrew term used here, B'nai Elohim, literally sons of God, appears elsewhere in Scripture, always referring to celestial beings who dwell in the divine council. In Job, when the sons of God presented themselves before the Lord, Satan stood among them in the throne room of heaven. In another haunting passage, God asks Job where he was when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. A primordial moment of celebration before humanity even drew its first breath. These weren't men of flesh and blood. They were divine beings, members of the heavenly host who abandoned their exalted positions of authority and crossed a boundary established since the dawn of creation, a line that was never meant to be crossed. In the ancient Book of Enoch, a text quoted by Jude in the New Testament and revered in the days of Jesus, these beings were called the Watchers. 200 of these celestial sentinels descended upon Mount Hermon, swearing a terrible oath to take human wives against divine decree. Their unholy union produced offspring unlike anything the world had seen before or since. The Nephilim, giants whose very name literally means the fallen ones, warriors of renown whose hybrid nature violated the created order. But their rebellion penetrated deeper than forbidden marriage. The Watchers taught humanity knowledge that heaven had deemed too dangerous for mortal minds. Sorcery that manipulated spiritual forces. Warfare that multiplied bloodshed across the earth. Cosmetics that inflamed lustful desires. The secret manipulation of nature's elements. They didn't just break divine law. They systematically corrupted God's creation at its very foundation, tainting bloodlines and perverting wisdom meant to be revealed in its proper time. And God's response was swift and severe, with a judgment unlike any that had been rendered before. Jude tells us with solemn warning, the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. Peter confirms this cosmic imprisonment with even more specific language. God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into Tartarus, not simply hell as we commonly understand it, but a prison deeper and more terrible than the underworld itself. A special place of containment reserved for the most dangerous rebels against heaven's authority. When did this cosmic rebellion occur? What moment in primeval history witnessed this breach between worlds? Scripture reveals that it happened during humanity's early generations, when man began to multiply on the face of the land and civilization was still young. The sons of God, watching from their celestial realm, saw opportunity in mankind's burgeoning population, and they seized it with calculated determination. Their fall preceded and precipitated the flood. Indeed, it was one of the primary triggers for this global catastrophe that reshaped our planet's very geography. Genesis records in grave tones that the earth was corrupt in God's sight and filled with violence. The Hebrew word used for corrupted suggests not merely moral sin as we might understand it today, but a fundamental decay of creation's order, a perversion of the natural into the unnatural. All flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth, not just human flesh, but possibly animal life as well, altered and defiled by the influence of these fallen beings and their monstrous offspring. Ancient texts suggest these Nephilim consumed everything in their path, and when food ran short, they turned on humanity itself in terrible hunger. The flood, then, was far more than divine punishment for human wickedness. It was cosmic surgery, a desperate but necessary measure to cleanse creation of supernatural contamination before it consumed everything God had made. The waters that covered the earth were not just judgment, but mercy, the only way to preserve what remained uncorrupted and begin anew. Yet even amid this global judgment, there was a thread of hope. Noah found favor in God's sight, a man described as righteous and blameless in his generation. Some scholars suggest this phrase means more than moral uprightness. It may indicate genetic purity, a lineage untainted by the supernatural corruption spreading through human bloodlines like a virus. Through Noah and his family, God preserved not just human life, but human nature itself, the image of God unsullied by celestial rebellion. The ark was not merely a vessel of wood, but a sanctuary for creation's original design. But the most chilling aspect of this ancient account is found in the prophetic words of Jesus himself. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Let those words sink into your spirit like a stone into dark waters. Before Christ returns, before the final judgment is rendered, the world will once again resemble Noah's day, marked by unrestrained wickedness, widespread violence, moral collapse, and possibly supernatural interference on a scale not seen since primeval time. Could there be another fall of heavenly beings? Another breach between worlds? Revelation describes a coming war in heaven, with Michael and his loyal angels battling the dragon and his rebellious forces. And the great dragon was thrown down to earth, and his angels with him. Another angelic fall, but this time in the last days of human history, during the final apocalyptic confrontation between the forces of light and the armies of darkness. Even more disturbing is what Revelation reveals about the bottomless pit. The fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft, and from it rose smoke like that of a great furnace. Could this be the release of those very beings imprisoned since Noah's time, those original sons of God who first rebelled against heaven's order? Ancient chains finally broken, ancient prisoners finally freed to wreak havoc once more upon the earth. The Bible offers tantalizing clues that this pattern of supernatural invasion may have already repeated itself. Numbers 13 records the terrified spies in Canaan seeing giants, descendants of the Nephilim, who made them seem like grasshoppers by comparison. Genesis itself cryptically says the Nephilim were on earth in those days and also afterward. Some interpret this as suggesting a second incursion after the waters of the flood receded, a renewed attempt to corrupt what God had cleansed. Are we already witnessing the groundwork for supernatural deception that mirrors what happened in Noah's day? The merging of what should remain separate? Daniel's prophecy speaks cryptically of the final kingdom of earth, As you saw iron mixed with soft clay, so they will mix with one another, but they will not hold together. Just as iron does not mix with clay. Ancient prophecies hinting at unnatural unions in the last days of human civilization. This isn't merely history written in faded ink. It's prophecy racing toward fulfillment. The fall of the sons of God in Noah's time was a preview, a foreshadowing of a greater spiritual invasion still to come. A pattern established in the ancient past that points toward our uncertain future. But even in this cosmic darkness, there shines a light that cannot be extinguished. Just as God judged the rebellious sons of God before the flood, He will bring final judgment at the end of the age. Revelation shows us Satan himself, the original rebel, the father of lies, bound with a great chain and cast into the bottomless pit, the same fate that befell those first rebellious angels who violated heaven's boundaries. And after this final judgment comes something more beautiful than human tongues can express. Restoration beyond imagination. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth had passed away. Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Where once the sons of God rebelled and defiled creation, now the Son of God reigns and restores it to glory beyond its original splendor. Where humanity was scattered and broken by cosmic forces beyond our control, now we are gathered and healed under the gentle rule of the one who died to save us. Where darkness once invaded light, now light has consumed all darkness. You are not merely hearing an ancient story etched in stone and parchment. You are living in its unfolding final chapter. Participants in the cosmic war between light and darkness, obedience and rebellion, truth and deception that has raged since before human memory. The battle lines are being drawn, the ancient players are taking their positions, and you have been called to this moment, to this time in history, for a divine purpose. Like Noah, you can walk with God amidst a world spiraling into darkness that grows deeper with each passing day. You can prepare your ark not of gopher wood sealed with pitch, but of faith rooted in truth, obedience born of love, and intimate communion with the Creator who has revealed these mysteries to prepare us, not to frighten us. The call is urgent. The stakes are eternal. The choice is yours. We stand at the threshold where ancient prophecy transforms into present reality before our eyes. The question isn't whether these things will come to pass. The divine word has already settled that matter. But whether you are prepared when they do. Will you recognize the signs? Will you stand firm when others fall away? Will you walk like Noah walked, as one of the few who understood the times?